Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, founder of GSD, Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier EIM quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team at Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, an AI HR tech company that I founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe at GST that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. And today I have an incredible guest. Scott Desgrosseilliers is the CEO of Wicked Reports, and we're going to talk about all the way from his journey at Bentley and Sigma Phi Epsilon all the way to today and Wicked. So with that, I'd like to bring Scott on board.
Thanks, Gary. Fun to be on a live. You don't have as many live webinars as in the past, so this is a fun experience for me.
Yeah, no, this is our 1441 live broadcasts that we've done. So we've been doing active. We've got about 1.4 million views now of the show, and GST is in 73 countries around the world, so we have a pretty wide audience today. But it's great to have you here. So tell me a little bit about it. So you were at Sigma Phi Epsilon. How was that at Bentley, and what did you learn from your experiences at being in a fraternity?
Oh man, it was a blast. We're still in touch, the whole crew, still close. It's great. You learn a lot that life isn't just about hitting the books, but the personal experiences, the connections you have with people, authentic connections. Those matter a lot. That was a lot of the college experience for me. It wasn't just, I was a finance major. I got into financial trading back in the mid 90s, and that's why I chose Bentley. But those connections with people were just as important, if not more.
Now, what kind of experiences did you have? Can you talk about ones that you can talk about publicly? What kind of things did you do over there? And you said, that was so much fun. I can't believe it.
Well, I in the fraternity ended up being on the executive board. I was the secretary. There was like 4 elected spots. So I had to run for an election, think about how to win the spot with, friends that, of course, I drank beer with and hung out and had a lot of laughs, but also like, why was I going to help lead the organization? And then there, when you get in a leadership position, which I still think has value today, you got to own the position. How are you going to make it more valuable? And so one thing I did was the minutes from the meetings. We wanted people to attend the meetings. They were generally fun, but sometimes people might not attend them. And so I started doing the minutes and making them entertaining. Like it could be making fun of someone. It could be telling an elaborate story from the weekend, or lightly prodding someone that wasn't pulling their weight in a humorous way. And people preserved those and kept them. And we'll still sometimes like post them on Facebook, or, talk about a minute that a story that I wrote. So it developed a potential in me that I wouldn't otherwise have thought to use, but also different ways of communicating that help get people to take action.
We had, so my fraternity, I had transferred from Lycoming College, that Lycoming University of Pennsylvania, like Caven University of Pennsylvania, into the fraternity up there. And I went into the fraternity, and, it was kind of like they were wrestlers and they were football players primarily. And my other fraternity that I transferred one was totally different, right? They were finance majors, but I wanted, it was fun. And I remember one time that we had this presentation on campus. Ed and Lorraine Warren, who did the Amityville Horror and Annabelle and all that, were on campus talking. Right. And so a lot of the fraternity members went to this free presentation, and I went up to them afterwards because they kept, the fraternity brothers kept saying that the house was haunted. So I went up to them. I said, hey, listen, could you come down? Like I went up to both of them. Now, these people are the ones that did Annabelle and all that. Right. So they come down, and I'll never forget this, Scott. There was 2 of the guys in my fraternity that were tackles on the football team. And so they go up, and Lorraine Warren starts getting into this kind of trancy thing and talking about that she feels the presence here. And I'm in the middle. I felt like an Oreo cookie. These 2 giant guys, 300 plus pounds, start coming together because they're scared, and I'm in the middle. So I'm like, we're talking about this stuff, and I don't know if it's real or not. But I know one thing: if these guys get much closer, I'm going to suffocate to death. I couldn't believe it, It was so much fun. No, we talked about that, and just the events. And you're right about the common, camaraderie and the times you're together. You do things that you'd never do today. Stuff was never done today, but at the time it was really, really fun. In fact, I don't think you get away with half of it today.
No, I mean, we had and how we communicated was a phone tree. You had to then call the different dorm rooms down the cycle to communicate things. This was pre-email. I was in school in 91 to 94. And one time we hatched up people that we didn't have a lot of plans for spring break, but through the phone tree, we hatched that we were going to leave later that day and drive to Florida from Massachusetts. And 12 of us went on a whim down to spring break. And it was a very memorable trip that happened because of a fraternity phone tree.
Yeah, well, those are the kind of things you never forget, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we did. We had one of those trips too. We did it to Fort Lauderdale. I don't know where you went, but we went to Fort Lauderdale. And a couple of those big guys that were the same guys that were doing, pushing together, were down with us, and they got a little tanked up, and they decided to go swimming in a lake with alligators at night.
Oh, geez.
And so they're out there swimming, and these guys are 300 some pounds, and I'm thinking, I can't even believe it. Like, seriously, cannot believe these guys. I bet I can go to the middle and you can't. I'm a better swimmer than you. And they start that stuff. And it was, but it's unbelievable because you never forget it.
No, swimming with alligators, that's no joke.
Well, but the thing is, they didn't really believe there were alligators in there because they were from up in Pennsylvania, right? In New Jersey. And so if you don't think about it till you're down in Florida, where I am right now, there's a lot of them.
There's a ton of them. I lived in Florida. I live in Palm Beach Gardens. We go golfing.
That's actually,
I don't even see them.
yeah, as Wellington, I see them a lot at nighttime. They're in the canals. You can see them. I take a flashlight out sometimes. You can see them laying around, and it's interesting. Anyhow, you become a real key tool for e-commerce brands. What was the original pain point you experienced that led to its creation? What started? What was that,
Sure.
moment?
So I was running the databases at apartments.com and then moonlighting doing CRM consulting and projects because it was just fun. And a friend of mine who was selling lobsters online, he'd originally got popular with Groupon, and then he reached a ceiling of growth there. He spent $4,000 on Facebook. This was in 2014 or 13. And only made one sale. And he's like, Facebook's terrible. It doesn't work for selling lobsters. And I was like, well, are you sure you only got one sale? And he's like, well, that's what Facebook's telling me. And I thought, well, he was really good with emailing. He'd do these hysterical emails that would always drive sales. And I said, well, let me see if I can find some software that will help you out. And I couldn't find anything other than something that was like $100,000. And I mean, he was spending $4,000 a month. He's not going to pay $100 to track the results. And so that's what stumbled me onto the idea of tracking ads for smaller e-commerce businesses, smaller meaning under 100 million. And so before I went off and launched a whole company, we did a prototype proof of concept for him. And so I said, well, okay, we'll run people to this landing page where you'll have a special offer. And then the special offer will just redirect them to a page you already have, but we'll get their email. And then you can start emailing them because you got good emails, and we'll see if we can't make some sales. And what we found was that in the first month, he broke even. But if we looked at it in a 3-month horizon, he was making 10 to 1 on his money. And that's when the light bulb went off that, wow, there's a lot of value here. And then he expanded to where now he spends multiple millions a year on paid advertising. It's a prime driver of his business, paid advertising plus the email to close. But those things that we discovered back then are still true, which is there's a customer journey with multiple channels. Some signals matter much more than others, and paid advertising can work, but you need the clarity of the data. But there's a lot I learned that went into that, which we'll probably get into, that kind of clarified and got me on the path of starting a company, because word spread through his masterminds, and then people were emailing me to my personal Gmail, hey, I need this report. And so I verified the demand was there before I, took the leap.
No, that's fantastic. And why is accurate market attribution so critical for high growth e-commerce brands?
Well, the sources that you get for free, which are the ad platforms reporting, they have it's like the fox watching the hen house. Their goal is to make more money, not for you to make more money with your money. And so it's not that they're intentionally misleading you, but they're taking the most dramatically optimistic view possible so that you'll continue to spend as the same, if not more. Now, that doesn't work. You'll eventually run out of money if you just do that. So
yeah, no, that's it. And people don't realize, it's about targeting, and you see that a lot. I know, we have 180 companies inside of my portfolio at GSD, and we go through this a lot. Most of them are AI companies doing frontier AI technology, most of them, some quantum. But the future is solving the problem of infobesity. Whether you're a marketeer or a doctor, it's how do you take care of the infobesity problem? I mean, think about it, Scott. There's about 176 zettabytes of data on the planet. If you took DVDs or CDs and stacked them one on top of another today, that would go 128 times by the moon, and it's grown at 69.6% per year. We are inundated, right? And it's nuts. And think about the email, right? So, if you look at it, your own personal cloud has about 300,000 items in it. And if you took and look at it in 1996, the entire web was 257,000 websites. You have more information in personal cloud than the entire web. The problem is Scott's world is growing at the same trajectory. By that, I mean doubling every year. In 5 years with IoT, you're going to have 10 million items. How many times the last week, and I asked the head of the quantum lab at Harvard, Pranita, the same question, right? How many times in the last 2 weeks, somebody said, hey, Scott, I sent you a message. Did you get it? Where did you send it? I sent it to your email. Which one? Or Slack, or Telegram, or WhatsApp. We're using WhatsApp now to filter email. It's crazy. And when did you send it? 3 days ago. Let me check. I can't find it. Send it again. This infobesity problem is killing us. And these tools, like what you've developed, are going to be able to help us to be able to journey through the future. Because if we don't, there's going to be two classes of societies. The company understand the data and company don't. And the divide's going to grow. The companies going out of business is going to be really fast, and the companies are going to grow. And you see it now, they're exponentially growing. It's changed.
It's changed. And I learned that training our AI up to analyze the data, it makes a lot of false starts. It's not good at reversing direction once it picks a path. But also we have a couple hundred data points per click, and trying to train people on how to slice and dice those, look at the trends right, take all this context. It's too much for someone to go in and do or want to do unless they're a huge data geek and they're passionate and they're willing to put the time in, which no one has the time.
They don't have time because they're not data with data. You remember in your psychology class, right? There was a thing called, you get to a point, it's called learned helplessness. You're inundated with so much that you freeze. We're getting to that point now. People don't check their email. I don't know if you hear this. It's like unbelievable because they say, I don't know what to believe. Is it real or not? That's another problem. Right? Is that DocuSign you've gotten real, or is it somebody contriving something? And you're going through it. It's insane. So I love what you're doing. But that being said, how do traditional metrics like ROAS, you've said that they can be misleading. Why is that?
So if you take the in-platform version of truth, it depends on the accuracy of the data. You have to understand the source. Back when I was helping my very first lobster client, I started with real sales and looked backwards so that I knew a sale had really occurred, and I didn't and I used the strongest signals, which were inbound clicks to his website, not where he may have browsed and there was an ad in the corner that he ignored, not where he scanned and an ad flew by his feed and he didn't click or spend any time, but the actual loudest signal was inbound clicks. And then the actual evidence, I was going to present the evidence transparently. They clicked at this time. The order happened after that time. It was based on what you're trying to do, which clicks matter and which one should we ignore. And so that's why ROAS is misleading. If it's based on one platform's view and it's using 30 days worth of data looking at just a view that might have been like, just think about anything you go to every day that has ads in the corner that you don't even look at. You're blind to them. The ad platform might be claiming credit that made your sale. And so that's why ROAS is an inflated metric, is if it's in platform, not looking at the totality of all your marketing, then you're guaranteed to be misled on it. And if it's accurate, it can be helpful. Depends on what you're trying to do. That's how we try to, this infobesity. I like that. I hadn't heard that before. We try to narrow the scope and focus down, like put horse blinders, starting with what are you trying to do and what are your financial KPIs that matter for what this goal is of the marketing. Because then that collapses the world way down and gives a digestible amount of data to look at, but also means we can analyze it for you and look at all the trends and look at all the context and look at your historical performance and then tell you just what you need to, just give you a doctor prescription. Take this pill.
Well,
money here.
I had a 4-star admiral on my show, the former #2 guy in the U.S. military, and I had a similar conversation. So when they look at a battlefield, the people that are the most successful are the people that understand where all the assets are, and that's essentially what you're doing. You understand where everything is, so you can make decisions that are accurate, and that's really important.
And it takes a lot of time to make something easy. I mean, because we had our AI, my analysis framework's been around for a while, but then we had the AI and then training it and getting it to where that was really a key unlock was let's just, out of all the different ways we could measure the data, which touch points, then which columns to care about. It all started with, well, you got to identify a goal with your marketing. Once you do that, that already collapses the world some. Then when you give us our financial parameters, we basically trying to tell you either scale the budget, kill the budget, which kill could mean fix your marketing, or chill, which is underrated. Chill means, to your infobesity, you got so much coming at you as a marketer. Where are things you don't have to worry about it? You can keep spending the same amount and just move about your day and worry about something else. So we have people set a chill zone, which means, hey, you don't have to think about this. You don't have to do anything.
No, that's important. And, you look at it, so many marketeers struggle with that attribution confusion we talked about. And I just want to dive. What are some common mistakes brands make when interpreting their data?
First one is trying to find the one golden right attribution model. And, and I used to try to do that, 8-9 years ago before I got into the rabbit hole far enough to know that wasn't the answer. You got to think of it as a tool. There's not attribution itself, but even the models, like which tool do you need? If you got a nail, you need a hammer, you got a screw, you need a screwdriver. Well, same with your marketing. If you're doing a top of the funnel brand awareness campaign versus a bottom of the funnel shopping, click my stuff and buy campaign, you should measure them differently and look at different key metrics. So that's the biggest one is people trying to judge their marketing on one model. Because what happens is then all your brand campaigns look amazing and all your top of the funnel campaigns look terrible because those take time to convert and they're the hardest thing to get working. But they're actually the most important. Brand's a signal that you've done the top of the funnel stuff right, not a lever you can really expand, and you can only grow your brand so much and then you need new eyeballs coming to the brand.
Yeah, all the time, right? It's an iterative process all the time. So that being said, how's the attribution evolved with privacy concerns and changes like Apple's iOS updates? How's it changed?
Yeah, so it was a dramatic change for Facebook because they were leveraging off phone number lookup, which was kind of on the download deal they had, which came to light. So they would ping and get the whole stream of what your phone had done and use it for their tracking.
Oh, really? No, I didn't hear that. Really?
So that went away, but that was when they started the right to track, and then everyone opted out, and then the data went to hell in Facebook because of that. So that was back in the day. That was how it happened. But also, the traffic used to be so cheap that people could even overlook some things because it was just a gold mine. Now that the traffic is more expensive due to the demand and the bigger brands now on social and on search so much, that you've got to have your financials dialed in and your tracking. That was the biggest one. The second biggest is this third party versus first party data. Mm-hmm. So we're a first party data tracking system. So we only count traffic and identify it because it came inbound to that brand's domain, and we don't follow them once they leave. So it's just because they showed up willingly, and then we see what they did while they're there. And then we don't identify them unless they've actually opted into, because it's unidentified. If they haven't bought or opted into the CRM through a marketing offer, they're not a good enough signal to act on anyway. So it's on the right side of the privacy law, but also it's not helping the brand. It's that infobesity.
Well, that's it.
I
And
tell you about all this stuff, but we don't know who they are. If they're not willing to let you know who they are, they're not a strong enough prospect. So we orient it around the first party data that brand owns, and don't share it out, and don't use other brands' data to infer what's going on with another. We keep it siloed, both physically but also logically for the brand.
You know, what were some of the toughest challenges you faced in scaling Wicked Reports, and how did you overcome them? By the way, I have a 14 LLMs working as a team, and they're listening to our conversation and coming up with these things. So just so you know, it's they know what I like, so it knows what I like, and it's coming up with things. That's how it came up with your fraternity and everything else too, by the way, because I was in peak. I was a fraternity member too. So it hit the sweet spot, which, by the way, is the next level marketing. It's going to change everything. So what were the toughest challenges you faced in scaling Wicked, and how'd you overcome them?
The toughest one was getting the jobs to be done, outcome to occur. Because we could say that we had solved the problem because the data was accurate, which we've had for many years. Then we could say, well, we made it easier to set up tracking and all that. And we have good reports, and everyone has that. But really, we had to get more to, why are you hiring an attribution software? You want to move your budget to where you're making the most efficient results. You want to stop wasting money when it's not working, and you want to spend as much as possible when you have a financial edge. And then as a side benefit, when can I just relax and know that my budget's being spent wisely and I can just keep spending the same? That was the biggest challenge, was making that as easy as possible. And because I had courses, I had people trained up that were going to train others, train the trainer. And really, AI was what unlocked the fact that now, with a click of the button and a few parameters from the user, we can give expert analysis each time. That was the toughest challenge, was guaranteeing you'll get the outcome you are hiring us to do.
You know, you talk about meditation and mindfulness, and how's that helped you, you know, from a business perspective and in terms of life enrichment? How's it helped you?
A lot. Well, the framework that I'm using for the analysis, called the 5 Forces, was based on a meditation reality creation framework I learned from my spiritual teacher, meditation teacher, Kurt Leland. And it was the idea that if for anything in life, you have an intention, and then you have expectations on how that intention is going to happen. Maybe you shouldn't have them, but you do. And then you take action, and there's consequences from the action, and then there's your reaction to the consequences. And this always occurs in your life on anything. Like, I want to lose weight. Well, I think I'm going to lose weight because I'm going to eat this nutritious bar that I expect, because I'm eating these meal bars, I'm going to lose weight. So you start eating the meal bars, but then the consequence might be you don't lose weight. And then you react to it. Oh, I can never lose weight. And it could be, no, you took the wrong action because you expected it to be meal bars, but it turns out they're loaded with sugar and you're spiking your insulin. So you just you had the wrong expectation and took the wrong action. So anything in life I learned through meditation was, you get a lot of emotional reactions to the consequences of what you do, and then that skews your progress. And so I took that into account with the 5 Forces framework of marketing teams are dealing with someone with a budget. They get expectations around that budget, and you got to get alignment before you start acting about when you can scale, when you can kill, how long you can spend without making money, and how you're going to measure it so that you're allowed to succeed at what you're trying to do as a marketer.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, right? And you go out there and you gotta, the data, there's those nuggets of data help guide us into what's right. Here's another thing. What about, how do you really balance your life in terms, on one side, you get the growing demands of a SaaS company, and on the other side, you've got a family. How do you balance life? And I know you're doing meditation, but what do you do to be able to make sure that you're taking care of both sides and everything's right?
Yeah, that's constantly something you got to keep in focus. And it's not like every day is fully balanced. It's more like every 2-week chunk has some balance.
Mm-hmm.
Example, this past week, I took Tuesday, today's Thursday. I took Tuesday off. It was our youngest daughter's 9th birthday. She wants to go to Canopy Lake, this fun water park, theme park. And so we took the whole day off, spent it focused on the kids, and that was great. But then the next 2 days, we're up front with them. We say, hey, we took Tuesday off. Life's about making money also. You guys got to entertain yourselves, play with yourselves, hang out with your friends. Like, we got to focus on money these next 2 days. So it's really, it's a constant just focusing on it, being present on the trade-offs, good and bad on both. It's something that never ends, I find too. You think, oh, I got a system in place, and then, life throw you a curveball on that. So it just takes consistent focus, really. I mean, I play a lot of pickleball. That's my outlet. I love it.
Did you used to be a tennis player?
Some, not hardcore, but I was big on ping pong. It's like kind of like ping pong outside. So,
no, that's great. So I see we have a lot of pickleball players down here. And but what's one piece of advice you wish you'd known when you started Wicked that now it's really important you want to share?
For me, it should be building it. My next startup. I'll exit this one someday and then do another one. And it will always be relentless focus on the customer's job to be done, validating that it was achieved. So there's no interpretation. It's black and white, because I thought the job was done because we had these great online spreadsheets and then training on how to use them. And technically we had it done, but it didn't really, our customers weren't hitting it out of the park at a high enough rate, because we still left all this interpretation and nuance in their hands. And so now I know that I wouldn't even start one until I knew how I was going to know that the people got the value. No, then you have your North Star. You got your North Star with the product.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, let's do this thing. It's like, well, how are we going to know that that's more value for the customer? How are we going to black and white, no debate?
So we're coming up to the top of the show. Scott, after this is done, we can talk for a few minutes after the show's over, if you have the time. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
So my closing thoughts would be, many times, a mistake I would make was hiring some software or some consultants before I really had the process figured out. Unless you're hiring them to figure out the process. You say, I got this problem. Oh, good, this software is going to fix it for me. The framework and the process on how you solve something, if that's missing, you're just going to be throwing more good money after bad, or bad money after good. So I would say that's something that I learned through many mistakes in time that I now feel like I'm better at, that I would pass along to anyone listening. People looking to find me, there's 3 ways. If you're in the market for marketing attribution and you're an e-commerce brand, 3 million to 50 million, Wicked Reports, or if you're selling info online as well. If you're just into data analysis and frameworks and how to take data decision-making, fiveforces.com. I have a course available there based on my life's work doing this. And then I'm available on LinkedIn. Wicked Reports Scott should track me down, or my last name, obviously, well, if someone can spell that.
No, that's great. Scott, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And thanks to all my audience. Thanks to all of you. We're closing in on 1.4 million views. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the host of Top Global Startups. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And we'll be back again soon with another exciting edition. Thanks, Scott, and thanks, everybody. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Gary.